He's flying down the track. Van Niekerk and Glaive try to catch him, but Jacobs pulls away and gone.
He's running. He's being challenged by Van Niekerk and Glaive, but Jacobs pulls away.
9.67 seconds. Stop and think about that. Only one man in history has ever run faster than that, under any conditions at all, and that man is Usain Bolt. Now here's the wild part. The guy who just did this isn't Jamaican. He isn't even American. Not really. He's Italian. Except that's not the full truth either, because the man behind this insane time was actually born in El Paso, Texas. His American dad walked out when he was just 20 days old. His mom, still a teenager, raised him alone in a tiny town by Lake Garda in Italy. No dad, no money, no plan. And Usain Bolt himself was watching this happen. The greatest sprinter ever, watching some unknown guy run a time only Bolt has ever beaten. This isn't even the first time he shocked everyone in Bolt's era. He already did it once before, 4 years ago in Tokyo. And get this, the whole story doesn't start on a track, it starts on Facebook. We'll get to that 9.67 in a minute, but first you need to hear what his mental coach told him right before Tokyo. Because without that one conversation, none of this ever happens. No gold medal, no 9.67, nothing at all. Once you hear her words, you'll realize this was never really a story about running. Let's rewind to where it all began.
It's not Italy where the story starts. It's America, El Paso, Texas. A U.S. Army soldier is stationed in Italy and meets a 16-year-old Italian girl. They fall in love fast. She gets pregnant. They move together to Texas, to an Army base in El Paso, and their son is born. They name him Marcell. But just 20 days later, the Army ships the father off to South Korea. The mom is stuck alone in Texas with a newborn baby and nothing else, so she does the only thing she can do. She grabs her son and heads home to Italy, back to a small town called Desenzano del Garda, right on the lake. That baby grows up right there. No dad around, no American family, just his mom, and one question that never goes away. Why didn't he ever come back for me? Here's the part that really hurts if you grew up without a father. Marcell never got answers. No explanation, no closure. Just years and years of silence. Then social media happened. He found his dad on Facebook. His dad even sent him friend requests, and Marcell never once answered. Years later in interviews, he flat out called the man a stranger, not his dad. He said not having a father shaped every single part of who he became. All the fear, all the walls he built up, all of it traces back to one guy who left and never truly came back. If this sounds familiar to you or someone you already know where this story is headed.
Here's a twist most people don't know. Track wasn't even his real sport. Marcell built his whole athletic career around the long jump. That was his identity. That was who he was. Then in 2018, a knee injury rips it all away in an instant. The one thing he built himself around, just gone. So what does he do? He switches to the 100 meters, not because of some big plan, but out of pure desperation. He's 24 years old, starting completely over in a brand new event with no track record at all. His first legal 100-meter time is a 10.08. That's not fast, that's a this might not work kind of time. Think about that for a second. Two huge things already abandoned this man. His father, and then the sport he built his whole identity on. Both gone before anyone even knew his name existed. And this is where things get strange. This is where the real story truly begins. At the end of 2020, Marcell brings on a mental coach named Nicoletta Romanazzi. In one of their very first sessions, she tells him something that sounds almost crazy for an athlete to hear. She says his legs are locking up before races, and it's not his training and it's not his technique, it's his father. She explains that all the anxiety, all the tension, that moment right before the gun when his legs go stiff and heavy, it's all coming from one place, a wound he never healed, the father who disappeared. She tells him straight up, he cannot become the fastest man alive while carrying that weight. He has to face it. He has to reach out. For anyone watching in America, this hits different because his father isn't some far-off Italian relative, he's American. He's somewhere in the States right now, alive and reachable. This wound is American, which means the healing has to cross an entire ocean. So Marcell does it. He reaches out to the man he called a stranger for over 20 years. Real phone calls, real texts, half of it running through Google Translate because his English isn't strong at all. It's not smooth. It's not some perfect movie moment. It's awkward, it's slow, it's uncomfortable. Two people trying to rebuild 25 years of missing relationship through a phone screen. But it's real, and it's happening right as he's chasing the biggest race of his entire life. Before we jump to Tokyo, let me ask you something. If someone told you calling the parent who abandoned you was the only way to reach your dream, would you make that call? Drop your honest answer below right now. Because Marcell made that call, and what happened just months later shocked the entire sport. August 1st, 2021, Tokyo, the Olympic 100-meter final. Nobody in that stadium has a clue who Marcell Jacobs even is. He's not a favorite. He's barely even a name. He has the slowest reaction out of the blocks of anyone in the entire race, and then he runs every single one of them down. 9.80 seconds. European record, Olympic gold. The first Italian in history to even reach this final, let alone win it. Fred Kerley, the American everyone expected to win, takes second. Trayvon Bromell, one of the fastest men alive, doesn't even make the final. A man born in El Paso, Texas, who grew up his whole life without a father, who switched sports at 24 out of pure desperation, who picked up the phone and called a stranger who happened to share his blood. That man just became the fastest man on the entire planet. Around this same time, you might remember Sam Blaskowski becoming the fastest white man in history, running 9.89. If you saw that video, good. Because right now, the sprint world is packed with names nobody saw coming, and Marcell's name sits right at the top of that list. But this isn't some perfect fairy tale. Real life doesn't let you stay on top forever without a fight, and what happened to Marcell after Tokyo is the part most highlight reels skip completely. The years right after his gold medal fall apart piece by piece. He develops an inflamed sciatic nerve in his thigh that just won't heal. He keeps pulling out of races, withdrawing from championships. At one point, he's in a hospital bed in Kenya battling a stomach virus, nowhere near a track at all. At the 2023 World Championships, the man who won Olympic gold 2 years earlier doesn't even reach the final. He runs a season's best in the semifinal, and it still isn't enough. He's on a flight home early. Think about what that does to someone. You claw your way from a 10.08 all the way to Olympic gold. You become the fastest man on earth, and then your own body betrays you again and again for 2 straight years, while a new wave of sprinters, including Noah Lyles, takes over the sport without you. So Marcell makes a brutal decision. He leaves his longtime coach, the man who took him from long jumper to Olympic champion, and he uproots his entire life. He moves to Jacksonville, Florida, to train under a new coach alongside a group that includes Trayvon Bromell, the very man who couldn't even make the Tokyo final. Now Marcell trains next to him every single day, trying to rebuild from scratch in a country that's not fully his, but not fully foreign either. Fitting, considering exactly where this story began.
By 2024, he says the injuries are finally gone. He walks into Paris as the defending Olympic champion, confident, healthy, ready to defend the title that made him a legend. Paris, August 4th, 2024, the 100-meter final. Marcell barely squeezes into the race, one of the fastest losers out of the semis. It's tight from the very first gun, a blanket finish, the entire field separated by almost nothing. Noah Lyles crosses the line first in 9.784. Kishane Thompson grabs silver. Fred Kerley takes bronze. Marcell finishes 5th, running 9.85 seconds. He's seen limping off the track afterward, not celebrating, not defending anything, just gone in the blink of an eye, from the world's fastest man to 5th place in his own title defense. "I wanted to be the one celebrating," he says after the race, "but my career doesn't end here." 3 years of pain, a country change, a coaching change, all of it, and it still wasn't enough on the biggest stage on earth. That's where we leave him, 5th place, limping, with nothing left to hold on to but faith in himself. Which brings us to last week, Austria, Eisenstadt. Marcell Jacobs runs 9.67 seconds. Now here's the honest truth, because you deserve facts, not just hype. That time came with a strong tailwind, way past the legal limit, so it will not count as an official record. But forget the technicality for a second, and just look at the raw number. No wind-aided 100-meter run in the entire history of this sport has ever gone faster. And under any conditions at all, legal or not, only Usain Bolt has ever run quicker than this man just did. A 31-year-old born in Texas, raised by a teenage mother in a tiny Italian town, who called the father who abandoned him because a mental coach told him that was the only way to unlock what was already inside his legs, who won Olympic gold, who crashed all the way down to 5th place 3 years later, and who just answered every single doubter with a 9.67 in Austria. Say that number again, 9.67. The fastest wind-aided time ever recorded. Only Bolt has gone faster, period.
Here's the piece that ties this entire story together. After Tokyo, reporters asked Marcell what actually changed, what made the real difference. He didn't talk about training blocks, he didn't talk about technique or sprint mechanics. He said the very first thing his mental coach ever told him was that he needed to build a relationship with the father he'd never had. He called it the hardest thing he has ever done in his life, harder than any race he's ever run. That phone call to America wasn't some small side note in this story. According to Marcell himself, it was the entire reason. 9.67 seconds, and it all started with one call to a man he used to call a stranger. So where does this go from here? Los Angeles, 2028, the country where he was born, the state his father calls home, the city that sits right at the center of both halves of who he is. He'll be 33 years old, running an Olympic final on American soil for the first time in his life against the best sprinters alive, with a 9.67 already sitting on the board. Does Marcell Jacobs stand on that starting line in Los Angeles, in the country his father never left, and win a second Olympic gold medal on his own home soil? Drop your answer below. Every single comment gets read.